This podcast is part of the Pull Up a Chair podcast network. Let's build community through connection, conversation, and collaboration. Welcome to
How's That Working For You?
Where
We spill the tea about relationships, millennial adulting, or whatever else life decides to chuck at us.
Hey Kat, what's up?
How do I even bring this up? I guess I've been dipping my toes back into being an influencer lately.
Oh, okay. How's that been?
It's a process. I think that there's a lot of things that go into being an influencer that a lot of people don't appreciate because they don't understand what it takes to be an influencer. A lot of people think that we just sit around, take pictures of ourselves, and then post, and that's we get money and we get free stuff from that. But that's not it. That's not it.
And I mean, you would know better than anybody because you did your senior thesis in undergrad on being an influencer.
Yeah, and then unfortunately I started doing that right when Instagram decided to change up their algorithm, so it became just tenfold as difficult right now. Actually, I stopped uploading because I moved out to the city and didn't have a place, but I had 9,600 before I kind of burnt out and decided to stop doing it because I felt like I was fixating too much on gaining followers. So I lost quite a few, but I'm regaining it. I dropped down almost to just 9,000, and now I'm back to 9,300 something. So it's just, you gotta stay vigilant. But it's not the worst in the world. I think that it's important because there are a lot of influencers that just want a platform to speak on things that are important to them. For me, it's not about narcissism and getting attention from people, although I do love attention, don't get me wrong. Well, not because people will call me out for it, so I'm addressing it now. I love attention. It's not the only reason for why I want to grow a following. It's because I think people with bipolar disorder specifically, mental illness, but bipolar disorder specifically, are underrepresented right now. And especially coming from a background, I'm Asian American, where mental illness has been a very hard pill to swallow for a lot of first generation Asian American parents. So, and just in general, it goes down the ancestry line that people just don't understand what mental illness is. So I want to be a voice for that type of audience and everyone else, really. I feel like if you have a friend who has mental illness, some of the things I say could make a difference. So I want to be some sort of inspiration for people because we've talked about this in a previous podcast about how, in comparison to your mom and me, people with mental illness can end up in very different situations depending on how well they treat it, how well they maintain how well they maintain their moods, how well they cope. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I just really want to be a voice and to be some sort of inspiration for people who struggle with things that I do. Because I do really wish that I had somebody, before I met UV, when I was growing up in the younger, I had a lot of problems making friends. I didn't really have anyone that really understood what I was going through. In fact, I didn't even know I had bipolar disorder. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I wish that I had somebody to look up to that was going through what I was going through and could give advice. I didn't need to, a lot of influencers you don't know personally anyway. Yeah. But I did my whole thesis on it, where you have kind of a one-way relationship with certain influencers. Some people do, especially on YouTube, specifically.
The what'd you call it? The parasocial relationships?
Yeah, parasocial relationships. Nice! You remember my paper better than I do. She helped me edit my paper. This girl deserves 500 gold medals.
Yes, I will take that in cash or check only, please. Thank you very much.
Yes. It was, yeah, parasocial relationships, because when you watch YouTubers, they talk directly to you at the camera as if you are right there with them. And I feel like that's a big piece of advice for people who want to do YouTube. It's not about talking to the camera, it's about talking to your audience. So when you look at the camera, you just kind of have to imagine that you're talking to somebody. At least that's what I do.
That's what you do. I mean, you are very relatable, and I see in your comment section on Instagram, people all talk to you as if you're their best friend, and then you respond to them as such too, which is why I think you resonated so well with people.
Man, it's not hard to be a decent person, you know?
There are people out there that would disagree, but speaking of reasonable people, I think next week we should talk about Rhett and Link, because they're two influencers who have like stayed out of all of the drama that happens within the influencer community, and I think
they're just so detached. They don't even acknowledge it's happening.
Exactly.
Like, they're so far removed from it that they don't even acknowledge it's happening.
They give influencers a good name.
They do. They call themselves internetainers.
You're right. They're I can't even say that word. Oh my god.
Internetainers. I'll say it for you.
Thank you. You'll be my voice cat.
I am a voice. I have a voice. These are facts.
On the topic of influencers, though, like, that word has such a bad stigma attached to it.
Oh, yeah. And which is why I struggled with it for so long. And remember when I was growing and there was this one girl when we were graduating that one summer, and I was talking to you about this one girl that straight up, like, she unfollowed me, and then out of curiosity I asked her why, because I thought we were somewhat friends. I thought we were friends in real life, so I felt like it was harmless for me to ask. And she basically said, like, my page was turning into something that was toxic, and that I was trying too hard to get followers and blah, 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 blah. Like, I was, and it was like, because I was fueling narcissism. She made all of these really, really mean claims about my personality just because I was trying to grow a platform. And granted, I did ask her. However, she was wrong about all those things, and they were very hurtful when I heard them, because it was so far from the truth to me that somebody would gather that information from basically how I was holding myself online. And for the most part, a lot of what I was trying to do to grow a following was an experiment for my thesis. So it was all, like, super bad. And I think that she was probably reflecting a lot of, or not reflecting. Is it reflecting? Projecting. Yes. Projecting a lot of her feelings or something onto me that had nothing to do with me. And I don't know. I have nothing against her. It's been a long time since this happened, obviously. Probably 4 years? 3 or 4 years? When did we graduate? 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, we graduated like 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah. So I haven't, like, it's not like I hold anything against her, but it has really made it, at the time, it really made an impact on how I saw myself and how my relationship with the term influencer definitely changed a little bit. It's just, there are different tiers of influencers too. Different types.
There's also this interesting dichotomy that I've noticed when it comes to YouTubers specifically, where a girl will be referred to as an influencer, while a man would be referred to as a content creator. And with the term
I heard something about that.
Yeah, with the term content creator, there isn't a stigma that the person's out doing it for narcissistic reasons or this or that. And I think Jenna Marbles is a perfect example, because she's technically an influencer. She would call herself an influencer, but she didn't do, like, advertising this or advertising that. She mostly did, like, funny videos and this or that. But then you'll look at somebody like Jeffree Star, who's also an influencer, but people will refer to him and his YouTube channel as a content creator, even though he's doing, like, I'm selling this, I'm selling that, and, like, less creative content. and that these words are thrown around arbitrarily. Like, you could be making content, but you'll be referred to as an influencer, versus you'll be an influencer who's being referred to as a content creator. Oh, it seems like those two words have no real meaning, and that they're, for some reason, like, gendered.
I feel like content creator was a new one. It's pretty new in terms of it being brought up in the past few years, because I feel like the term influencer came first. I don't know, I could be wrong, don't quote me on this.
I have no idea what came up when.
And I actually don't remember using the term content creator in my paper. Do you?
No, you never used the term content creator.
I don't think so, actually. And that was only 3 years ago. Because I used the word micro-influencer, opinion leaders, micro-celebrity. Like, those were the terms that I used. But content creator was a new one that I think people just started using regularly and more frequently. But I do like the term content creator because it's so much better. It's because we're creating content and it's hard work.
I feel like it's more apt. It's a better description.
I didn't know that. Actually, I thought Jeffree Star, I would have pegged him as an influencer. They're all the same thing, by the way. But the fact that we associate them differently is interesting. I did read something about how it was more associated with a male online presence than a female online presence, which is not fair.
I first heard the term used by, oh God, what is his last name? Roberto Blake. He's pretty big on YouTube for being a YouTuber. And that's his thing. He talks about how to be a YouTuber and the dynamics behind that. And he only uses the term content creator. He never says influencer. And when he does, it's like, if he's making a statement on a rival channel or something, he'll refer to them as a influencer. But he'll refer to himself and what he calls his students as content creators. And that's the first time I ever heard of it. I don't know if he coined the term or where he got it from, but that's the first place I heard of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just remember it coming up in the past few years. I don't remember exactly where I heard it from. But yeah, it's interesting to me that everything can be turned into a sexist argument. It's just sad that that's where our society is at. We've made leaps and bounds, but we're still so far behind where we need to be. The fact that something so little as the difference between influencer and content creator is still a thing is just beyond me.
Yeah, I don't get it. And like, I get having like tiers, like this person is as Red Link calls it, an internet-tainer, versus somebody who's just kind of showing pictures of their body and not really putting any substance behind it, and then getting brand deals for gummy vitamins, for instance. I get having a distinction between like those two situations, but it just seems like those terms are thrown around with no real purpose.
Yeah. It just makes me think like Kylie Jenner. She's also, I feel like she could loosely be interpreted as a businesswoman.
I mean, technically, yes. She does have a business, her makeup line.
But I feel like she's the first name I think of when you say the word influencer, because she did do a lot of that brand promoting that probably didn't even really contribute to her income that much. She just did it.
Yeah, probably for the connections within the business world.
I don't know. Yeah, but like, and a lot of people who promote for, what's that brand of clothing?
Romway?
No, the other one.
The Fashion Nova?
Yes.
Okay.
Fashion Nova. Like, first of all, Fashion Nova is marketed as affordable, and we all know that Kylie Jenner has promoted Fashion Nova, but she has no reason to wear Fashion Nova because it's an affordable brand. Like, come on. She could buy Gucci like it's Forever 21 and have like no qualms about it. Can you imagine being that rich? I really wish I was that rich sometimes. Because I went to Ross the other day and I could not decide between 3 pairs of discounted shoes. They were all Nikes, by the way. And I could not decide between all of them, so I ended up buying all of them and spent like $130
Oh my god.
on 3 pairs of shoes. I would love to one day make it to the point where I could just, if I couldn't decide on which shoes to wear, I could just buy all of them and not even bat an eyelash about it.
I don't know if I could ever, like, no matter how much money is in the bank, I think I'd still be picky.
I can still be picky. I'd still be picky, but I would love to have that financial security of being able to do stuff like that without, and that extends to more than just shoes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry if I'm going off tangent right now.
No,
But-
I mean, a lot of people would look at what she can do and then think less of themselves because they can't do it. And I think that's a lot of society's problems with quote-unquote influencers. Not necessarily jealousy, but like knowing that that person's so vastly different.
Yeah. I also think that a lot of influencers, you only see a little bit of their life, and a lot of it's fake, to be honest. I try to be as
Yeah.
transparent as possible, but I saw an article about this girl who went into so much debt trying to
Be an
pretend.
influencer.
Yeah, she was like spending like credit card money on going on lavish vacations and stuff like that.
Oof.
And yeah, and there's a whole article on it somewhere. But it's just ridiculous because it's so about the appearances and how interesting your life is. First of all, nobody's life is interesting right now. Everyone's stuck in quarantine. But even then, people are still like pretending like life's okay, and it's okay to not feel okay right now because life is crazy. The world is really going through some shit right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, do you remember that girl that also scammed people into giving her money because she was an influencer?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. See, and that brings up a whole other issue. It's influencers going to small businesses and expecting free stuff for quote-unquote exposure. And that's awful. That's so awful.
What's a business, you know? You have to pay the people. Like influencers who want to like stay at places for free. Like they're still paying the housekeeper or whoever, you know? Like, you still gotta pay those people, and a lot of those influencers get those high-end, like, luxury suites.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Sometimes I look at my friends' places, or my influencer friends, or content creator friends' places, like the yoga places, and I think that their houses are so much nicer to film in. Like, they look like actual nice places. And I'm, like, stuck with my little living room situation.
That you're working on.
Yeah. Everyone starts from somewhere. And I don't think I've told our audience here about my whole, like, manifesting thing. My thing about manifesting is that I'm just constantly, I'm making a list of things I want and then putting good energy out there and just pedaling my way through my goals. And I truly believe that if you place good energy into something that you want really, really bad, and you put work into it, so that means not just believing in it, but also putting the work into it, physical energy, not just mental energy, into something that you want, you're gonna get somewhere. Whether you actually get exactly what you want is debatable, but you're gonna make progress and you're gonna get there. So, I brought this up because I am manifesting this life of travel and lavishness for myself. I don't need to be in a lavish place, but I would love to be able to have like a home-based apartment that has, you know, really nice window lighting and a nice space for me to roll out my yoga mat. That'd be so nice. Sorry, this podcast has become this whole rant of me.
It's okay. But I think on that note of manifesting, we should call that a day for this podcast, and if you are listening and you are wanting to become an influencer, message Kat and try to pick her brain, because she's very smart and knows a lot on this subject.
Oh my god, girl. I don't know if you can really tote that information out.
Too late, already did.
I'm not some influencer expert, just so you know.
Yeah, you just wrote the paper on it, that's all.
Fine, I wrote a paper on it. Fair enough.
Thank you for listening, and make sure you follow us on all of our social medias and subscribe to our podcast on wherever you are currently listening to podcasts. And we will see you next week.
Drink Something, Say Something is the podcast for those of you who are tired of other beer podcasts. Tired of the jargon, tired of all the rigmarole. We're going to bring on brewers, bartenders, and everything in between to talk about anything and everything from beer to the rest of the universe. Come crack one open with us every other Thursday.